Hello and happy Christmas and welcome to the last St John's Families Online. We've been thinking about that first Christmas and thinking about it from the viewpoint of different people involved. First of all, we thought about how Mary must have felt and then what the shepherds experienced. And today we're thinking about the wise men. And they were called wise men because they were so clever. They knew all about the stars in the sky, but they weren't kings. But today in the story, they're going to visit a king. And that got me thinking, what would you do if you were king or queen for a day? What would you do with all that power? What new rules might you bring in? What might you let everybody do? Why don't you have a chat about that at home? And then when you're ready to, press play again and we'll think about the story of the wise men visiting a king. At Christmas, we remember the story of Jesus as a baby born in Bethlehem. Now, the wise men, by the time they probably visited Jesus, he was probably a little bit more grown up, but he was still a young child living with his parents in a house in Bethlehem. And today I'm going to read the story for you, but I'm going to encourage you to do different actions for a couple of the words in the story. So every time I say king, I want you to bow your head. A bit like you would if you've met the Queen, you might bow your head to show her some respect. So every time I say king, you bow your head. And every time I say child, I want you to jump up and down. Okay? So why don't you have a practice? King and child. I'm imagining you jumping up and down. Okay, I'm going to read the story, see if you can remember the actions. When Jesus was born, some wise men from the east travelled to Jerusalem and asked, "Where is the child to be born to be the King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." When Herod heard this, he asked his advisors where this child would be born. They said that their Bible, which is now our Old Testament, told them that the new king would be born a child in Bethlehem. Herod sent the wise men to Bethlehem to find the new king. "I want to worship him too," said Herod. "So come back and tell me where to find the child." The wise men left Jerusalem. They saw the star again, leading them and going ahead of them as they went to Bethlehem, to the very place where the child was living. They found the child, Jesus with his mother Mary. They worshipped him. Although he was a small child, they knew he was also a great king. They gave him their special gifts, a gift of gold, which was the gift for a king, frankincense and myrrh to the child who was king. An angel told the wise men not to go back to Herod, and another angel told Joseph to take Jesus to Egypt. Jesus, the king, was kept safe. What Herod and the wise men both discovered that was the child and the king were the same person. They were both Jesus. And the sign for Jesus which is a mention of what happens in the Easter story when Jesus died on the cross but came back to life. I'm going to actually read that story again, and this time I want you to still do the actions for child and for king, but now also to do the sign for Jesus when I say the name of Jesus. When Jesus was born, some wise men from the east travelled to Jerusalem, and they asked, "Where is the child born to be King of the Jews? We saw his star in the east and have come to worship him." When Herod heard this, he asked his advisors where this child was born. And they said in their Bibles, which was the same as our Old Testament, remember, that it told them that the new king would be a child born in Bethlehem. Herod sent the wise men to Bethlehem to find the new king. "I want to worship him too," he said. "Please come back and tell me where you find the child." The wise men left Jerusalem. They saw the star again, leading them, going ahead of them to Bethlehem, to the very place where the child was living. They found the child, Jesus, with his mother Mary, and they worshipped him. Although he was a small child, they knew he was also a great king. They gave their special gifts of gold, which was a gift for a king, frankincense and myrrh to the child king. An angel told the wise men not to go back to Herod, and another angel told Joseph to take Jesus to Egypt. Jesus, the king, was kept safe. So Jesus was always a king. They were really different actions, weren't they, for a king and for a child, but they were talking about the same person, Jesus. Jesus was born a king, and he carried on being a king, though not everybody realised, as he grew up and became an adult. And when he was an adult, he did incredible things, said amazing things, healed lots of people, and then, of course, did the most incredible thing by dying on the cross and then coming back to life. And because of that, we're able to be friends with God forever. And Jesus is still king now that he's in heaven. And that's why we celebrate at Christmas. Not just because a baby was born, but that the most special baby was born, King Jesus. And we celebrate him as a baby, and we celebrate him as an adult for what he did for all of us. So I'm going to encourage you to think a bit more about that, and you might choose to do that in lots of different ways. If you're a family that likes to make things, then you might want to make a crown like a king would wear. Or you might want to chat about how the wise men felt when they met the child Jesus, and how they realised he was a king. Or maybe you want to think about what present you would give to Jesus if you met him. Or if you want to wait until dark, you could go outside and see how many stars you can see in the sky. But also make some time to pray to God and to thank God for the gift of Jesus this Christmas. I hope that you're all going to have a fantastic Christmas. It might not be all that we planned, and it might not be the same as it is other years, but we are still able to celebrate the birth of King Jesus. Have a great Christmas, and I'll see you all soon.